Hi everybody. Welcome to Unit 7 for Math, and in our lesson today it's Lesson 7.8, which is frequency distributions. We're going to be looking at a set of data. In today's lesson we're going to be organizing and graphing data, and you will be making a frequency table, a line plot, and a bar graph for a set of data. And you will also find the median of the data set. In this slide, you see that there's a collection of data. What you see here are arm spans. These are post-it notes for students in Ms. Garcia's class. So Caden had an arm span of 47 inches, Ernesto had an arm span of 51 inches, and Nathan had an arm span of 54 inches, along with the rest of the class. So to make it easier to think about this data and talk about this data, we want to organize it in a way. One way we can do that is to make a frequency table. So what we do is we take each post-it note and make a tally for it. So the post-it note, one of the post-it notes said 44 inches, we make a tally mark for that. We change that into the number 1. If there wasn't a post-it note for 45 inches, then there's no tally mark and the number is 0. And we continue all the way down for all of the post-it notes for that set of data, for those arm spans. And if we add all of the number of students up together, we get 20. So 20 students in Ms. Garcia's class had measured their arm spans. So the frequency table is one way to show this information. So you can look at things such as the highest number, the lowest number, the most frequent number. That's one way to show the data. Another way to show the data is to put it on a line plot. So here's a line plot. It's simply a line, kind of looks like our empty number line. And then we put the numbers on it from smallest or minimum to the biggest number or maximum number. So all of those post-it notes are now on the line plot. And this is another great way to show the data. So I can see where there weren't any students for a certain number of inches. So 45 inches had 0 students, 49 inches had 0 students. And I can also see very quickly which numbers were the lowest. So anything with one post-it note was a low number, and then the higher the post-it notes, then that means the most students had that number. So 48 inches is the highest number, or the number that shows up the most often. Then we can also take this data and find the median. We looked at this in our last lesson, and remember the median is the middle set of a middle number in a set of data. And to do that with these post-it notes, I can simply take off the minimum and the maximum and keep going until I find the median. You could also cross them out. So I'm going to move each post-it note down below the line. So minimum, maximum, minimum, maximum, until there's only one left. 54. And I keep going until all the post-it notes are below the line except for one. So you're starting to see, it's starting to figure out where that middle number is by taking all of the outside numbers off, one by one, highest to lowest, highest to lowest. Now these three are all the same, so our median or middle number is 50. And finally, I can take that set of data and represent it on a bar graph. So here's an empty bar graph. To complete the bar graph, we need to fill in the numbers on the bottom, which is the arm span in inches, and the lowest number and minimum number was 44. And I count all the way up by ones until I get to the end. Then I'm going to go back through my data and fill in each square for each arm span, for each post-it note that I had. And I can take this information off of the frequency table or from the line plot. as both of those show the same information. 57, 59. Okay, so for 44 inches, there was one student. So I'm going to fill in this square to show that one student in Ms. Garcia's class had an arm span of 44 inches. For 45 inches, there weren't any students, so I don't put in anything in that square. 46 inches, there was one student. And for 47 inches, there were 3 students. So 1, 2, 3, draw my line and color below it. And I would keep doing this for all of my data. If I go to the frequency table and look at 48, I know that there were 5 students. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That matches this number here. And I keep going until my bar graph is completed. And remember, bar graphs are a great way to show data because you can really pick out that highest number and that lowest number, the most frequent number. So frequency meaning how many times it shows up. So the highest bar right here means that 48 inches is the most frequent number or most popular number. And then anything that's very low, again, is the lowest number or the least frequent. So in today's lesson, you have learned how to make a frequency distribution using a set of data. And you can do that for any set of data. It doesn't have to be just for arm spans. You could also do it with our standing jumps as well. So great job today, everyone, and have fun with graphing and measuring.